guys, thought that I would just check in. This is going to be a bit of a vlog that is a little bit unexpected. It's probably something that I wasn't gonna do and didn't feel like it was something that I was gonna share, but it's got to a point now where I kind of feel like it is something that should be out in the open, because this is, I don't know how many people will relate to having so many children and then there always being one of them that is just hell-bent on making your life hell as much as possible, and nothing makes them feel better than knowing that they're just digging and hurting you and using you and trying to paint you out to be this monster that you actually really are not. So I'm sure a lot of yous are gonna kind of guess what I'm going to talk about. Maybe some of yous won't, but as you know, I have an older daughter called Chelsea. Chelsea is now almost 23 years old and has 2 children. As most of yous will be aware, Kaya and Arabella have not been in the vlogs for quite a while because Chelsea seems to constantly take the privilege of me being their grandparent away, as and when she feels like it, because she feels like this is acceptable. So I'm just going to run through a couple of things, starting from when Chelsea was younger. Chelsea used to be a beautiful little girl. I'm not saying she's still not a beautiful little girl. She's still my girl no matter what. So, you know, there's no hard feelings to this, but it's something I need to get off my chest. She grew up, she was a child that never wanted for anything, never needed anything. She went on every single school trip, paid for her to do dance competitions as she got older and she went into bigger school. And this is just trying to give you a brief rundown of everything that I've actually done, and then I'm just going to go back to like some other things that will make you realise like how hard it was to make sure my kids had everything. There was times when them kids needed to go on school trips. At this time I didn't have much money. I was only young when I had Chelsea and I had Chloe, and even when I had the other kids I still found it hard. I mean, I used to work, I worked for Asda, I moved from Asda and I went to another place in town that I used to work for doing nights there, but just because it was more money. And then I also did other bits of stuff, but obviously because he had the kids it was just so difficult trying to get childminders and stuff like that all the time. So I kind of worked as and when I could, and then I went and worked for a company called, I think it was called Florimex. I think they're actually based, when I started there it was based in Openshaw, but I think it's now moved to Ashton. That I've worked in quite a few places, so I was never just like a stay-at-home lazy mum. You know, I tried working my butt off to provide for the kids constantly. It got to a point where I just couldn't, I couldn't afford to go to work and go to take them to childcare and also have enough to pay for the bills and for them to go on school trips. So I ended up going to college and I learned to do nails and stuff, and that did well. So I was able to stay at home. I was making, obviously I was still getting government help. I'm not ashamed to say that, because at the time I was young as well. When, I mean, I just turned 17, I was 17. 2 weeks after me 18, I had Chelsea. And then I had Chloe, well I got caught with Chloe 4 weeks after having Chelsea. But I was working at that point, but obviously later on as the kids got older I did nails and stuff and started working from home. But I got everything topped up to make up what I wasn't getting, if you know what I mean. And it was hard, it was so hard, and all the things that you go through as a parent and the amount of guilt you feel when you can't afford every single thing that they want it's so hard. And I always did everything for my kids. I always made sure that they never went without. They always had clothes, they always had the best shoes, they always had named stuff, you know, and they always went on days out, and they always had nice coats, and you know, they probably didn't have every single thing they wanted, but they had more than enough, more than what, you know, some kids would look at them and think, God, I wish I had that. And I always used to say to him, like when you say, can you have this, can you have that? And he used to say sometimes, unfortunately, we haven't got the money to get everything, and you should appreciate the things that you've got, because there's some children out there that don't get one Christmas present in the morning. There's some kids out there that are not even having a Christmas dinner. There's some children out there that are not even waking up with the parents on Christmas Day, and that is the only one thing that they want. And this is why I always tell my kids to appreciate the things that they've got while they're young, because although they're only kids and they don't really understand, at this time in their life, this is when they should be appreciating things more, so they respect more things when they get older, and realise that they don't need the fancy phone that costs £700, because, you know, you can still get the same phone second hand for £200 and it's still going to do exactly the same thing. My point is that as a parent, kids forget what you've gone through to make sure they've had everything, you know, and sometimes I think that goes unnoticed. There was times when I actually did not eat because I wanted my kids to have everything, my kids to have food, my kids to have that trip at school, my kids to be able to go to that birthday party, for my kids to be able to have that pair of shoes that them kids have got in school, for my kids to be able to have that school bag that they wanted from River Island. And these are the little things that they don't see. But then I have a daughter that sits there and says, you did nothing for me as a child. You did nothing. You sat there, you never got us anything, you never did anything with us, you never did this and you never did that, making me out to be the worst person in the whole world. My kids had the best birthdays, the best Christmases. They never went a birthday without a birthday party. Every year they had the best party. I used to hire a pub out, they had the cake they wanted, they had every single friend there from out of their class. And that went for all of them, you know. And yeah, the last couple of years the kids haven't had parties or stuff like that because of lockdown, or, you know, we haven't arranged to do stuff. I don't think we've really done anything for birthdays since we've been vlogging. And it's not like we've purposely not wanted to do anything. We've just been struggling. We were just struggling. Like, even work, even though like you're working all the time and you're working as hard as you can, you know, you're not guaranteed for the best life or the best, you know, finances and stuff like that. You still got bills to pay out and a car to pay for. Them things don't just stop, you know. So any bit of money that does come in is paying for them. You know, you've got your Sky, your TV license, your car, your insurance, your tax, you name it. You know, people that have that kind of lifestyle will understand what I'm talking about. Obviously kids that are watching this won't really have them problems yet, but you know, my word of advice to any kids that do come across this video or are watching this video is always appreciate your parents and appreciate all the little things that they do for you, because, you know, even though sometimes you want that really nice thing and your mum and dad says no, deep down they'll be wishing that they could go out and get you that. And some parents just can't do it. Some parents struggle. Some parents worry about how they're going to afford the next birthday, how they're going to afford the next Christmas, how they're even going to afford to put food in the cupboard next week. you know, and my heart really goes out to them people because they still manage to keep going and just keeping themselves lifted. But anyway, I just want to carry on. So basically, to cut a long story short, Chelsea has always tried using her life and her bringing up to be my fault. Everything she does, any mistake she makes, anything that goes wrong, it's all my fault. I caused it all. I was in that room at that moment and I caused all that, and it was all my fault. Although it wasn't. And this is where the reality needs to kick in with her, that it is nobody else's fault but her own as to where she is in life, and she needs to stop blaming everybody else. So there was an well, I won't say there was an incident. She keeps going around telling the world that an ex-boyfriend that she was with when she was around 15, 16, which the lad is so nice. I'm not going to name him on here because it wouldn't be fair of me to do that. But she's put out so many lies about him, and she forgets how serious these allegations are that she's putting out, and she can get in a lot of trouble for them. Because, you know, you're ruining somebody's character, and it's just not nice. But again, that's my fault. That is all my fault. That is all my fault. The allegation that she's made is something that was meant to have happened. Well, his mum wasn't home. Let me tell you something. His mum was on the ball. Like, literally, you could not do anything without her knowing. And she would not let them in the house alone together at all. So it'd be very unlikely. I hate to say that, you know, I'm taking somebody else's side. I'm not taking my daughters and I'm not listening to her, because I do understand that these things do happen. I'm not saying that they don't, but we knew this lad personally, like, for a long time. She was with this lad for quite a few years in school, and then she carried on. They had prom together, and she said this happened in school. When they left school, they were still together. She went on holidays with him. She was telling me how much she loved him, and they got engaged. This was apparently after, you know, this had happened. I mean, don't get me wrong, Chelsea did come to us and she said that they were obviously at that age of being able to experiment. I'm going to put it like that because you'll understand what I mean. So, you know, they were both left school. They were both just about to leave school, just turned 16. And obviously she's come home and she said blah, blah, blah. But then made accusations that he'd done this, blah, blah, blah. So obviously we went and spoke to his mum and dad, and we sat down and spoke to him, and Chelsea was there and her dad went, and we sorted it out, and then they got back together, and that was it. It was sorted. It was finished. It was over, and we never spoke about it again. They were just 16-year-olds, just not really knowing about the birds and the bees, basically. So we sat down, spoke to him, and did everything. And then obviously all this drama that she's been causing all over TikTok and stuff like that, and then she was putting stuff up about me, and then putting stuff up about the stuff about what I'd said about the Inghams, just to correct her, because she probably will watch this anyway. And she says we were at Wales. We weren't actually at Wales. We were in Southport. Just so you know, this Southport Sea doesn't actually come in. Well, it does come in, but like, you could paddle in that for quite a long distance, because it doesn't actually come in like a proper sea, unless you were like really, really far out. So it's on Google, like, if you want to go and look at it. So our kids were always supervised as well, regardless. And if you notice, one of the kids was there, which was at an age appropriate to be watching the kids as well. So yeah, anyway, I just wanted to cover that a little bit, just because that was one of the little things that annoys me. It's like, she's not got a clue, seriously. She's my daughter, and don't get me wrong, I love her to bits. I'll never stop loving her, because you never stop loving and caring about your kids. But you would never in a million years think that she was turning 23. Mentally, I think she's more like a 12-year-old. That's exactly how she acts. She's still playing Sims. Bearing in mind, she neglects her kids. Playing Sims and doing all the things that you'd expect kids to do. And I'm not saying that kids do it, because, you know, there's probably a lot of grown-ups that play Sims, but they'll probably do it in an appropriate time, like when they've sorted the kids out and the kids have gone to bed and you've got your own adult free time. But this is something that I didn't really want to address, but it's just been getting me down for so long, and I'm just at a point of getting sick and tired of people judging me like I'm a bad parent, like I take things from her. Chelsea, all the kids as well, got £1,000 for the birthday. They all get £1,000 either for their 18th or the 21st, or they get a party. They get to pick which one they want. They don't get both. So it's either you have a party for your 18th, or you get £1,000 for your 21st. First of all, when it came round to Chelsea's birthday, she wasn't living with us, and the lad that she's with, I don't like. So, simple as, I just do not like him. He don't treat her right, he's aggressive, he's horrible. We'll get to that anyway, eventually. And then you can get a full picture of why I am constantly angered with my own daughter. So Chelsea was told when it was her 21st birthday that I would quite happily give her £1,000, but there was no way under this sun that I was going to be giving her the money. Not a chance. Pigs would fly before I would have handed that cash over to her. So I've got it all in messages, by the way. So I will, if I remember, to put the screenshots in. But if not, if anybody wants to see them, quite happy to show you. I turned around and said to her that if you want the money, you can pick stuff that you want and I'll happily buy it for you. That is not an issue, but I will not be giving you the money, especially when I know you're with him, and it just won't go on you. The money is for you, not for anybody else, not for him, not for stuff for the house, not for anything. It's a birthday present, and the money goes on you on clothes, makeup, shoes, getting your hair done, going for a pamper, going on a night out, anything that she wanted, would have gave her the money for. That was not an issue. The issue was where she was, who she was with, and that is one of the reasons that I was not going to hand the money over to her. So she agreed to that. She was fine with that. She was like, yeah, that's fine, Mum, don't worry about it, I'm happy with that. Again, it's all in a text message. So she then went on to, I think it was Facebook or somewhere else, and turned around and said, my mum's took my £1,000 off me. That was for a deposit for our house, and now we can't get a house. There was never ever going to be any money handed over to her. Not ever. Not for a deposit, not for anything. It was not for a deposit for our house at all. It was never even mentioned, could he use it for a deposit on a house? Because I might have considered it, but it was never asked. It was never spoke about. I don't even know whether that post still exists, but if one of the kids have got it, I will probably show you in a further vlog, because there is just so much. And anyway, that was that. Then there was another little rant about compensation money that she got and she's never got it and I've spent it. The compensation money is still at home, and when we were in a car accident, obviously it was a car accident that we were in when the kids were younger. It wasn't an accident that we caused, it was an accident somebody had actually reversed into us. And at this time I was with Chelsea's dad, Lee, and the agreement was that the whiplash money was to be split between them all. That was the agreement that me and her dad made, and when we got divorced, these were all put into the agreements that any money from the compensation was to be split. And she plain blank refused. Chloe was always told, they were always told when they got to the age of being able to claim it, each, because there was only 3 of them, that we would split it between them all. That way it was even, because they were all in the car. Obviously not all of them, because we didn't have all the older kids then. We only had Chelsea, Chloe, Liam, Imogen. I don't even think I had Mason then. I probably didn't. So obviously that was an arrangement that we made. It's not in my name, so I don't know where she's getting it from that I could have spent it, because I cannot claim it because it's in their name. So without their signature, nobody can claim it. So I just wanted to clear that up, because I know there was quite a lot of people that kind of thought they could jump on that and have an opinion. But you know, I always say this, don't have an opinion until you know the facts, because you're just talking rubbish. She's so selfish. But there's just been so many things that have happened, and it's like when she left school, she got kicked out of college. That was my fault. I ruined her whole life because she ran around college being racist. The thing is, I've never ever in my entire life been racist about anyone. Bearing in mind, these people were meant to be her friends, and she was running around calling them a word you wouldn't like to hear on here anyway. So I'll let you work it out for yourself. Bearing in mind, her friends were not the same colour, so you'll kind of get the drift as to what she was running around saying. So I got brought into college and turned around and said that if that's the way she's being, kick her out, because I wouldn't tolerate it. If I heard anybody saying that, they'd be on the way. And exactly what I went in college to say. I turned around and I said, this is my daughter, and even I don't know her anymore. At the age of 16, I don't know her anymore. She'd changed. She wasn't Chelsea anymore. She wasn't my little girl that used to come and draw silly little pictures or ask for a notepad so she could write what a dream house was going to look like when she left school, and what a wedding was going to be like, and stuff like that. You know, these were the things that she used to do, and she was always a girly girl, and I've always had really, really good relationships with all my kids. My kids know that they can come and talk to me about anything, like anything. It can be the littlest thing, it can be the biggest thing, but they know that if they ring up and say, I need to talk to you, that I will drop whatever I'm doing and I'll talk to him. And even sometimes they'll say, I'm sorry I didn't come and talk to you about this, Mum, or that, because they won't tell me every single thing, but they'll say, you know, we just see that you're busy and you're running around and you're looking after the kids and you're doing the washing and you're cleaning up, and we feel like we don't want to put any more pressure on you. But I always say to them, if you need me, the washing can wait, the cleaning can wait. The cleaning's not going anywhere, you know. If you need to talk, I'd rather know that your mental health is a lot more stable than me having clean clothes or finishing that dusting, or you know what I mean. So anyway, a couple of weeks ago she decided that she was going to put some stuff on TikTok about all this stuff that had gone on in the past. So she'd messaged me and I said to her, Claire, if you want to go to the police station, we'll go, but just make sure that everything you're saying is the truth, because if you go to the police station and they think you're lying for 1 minute, you're going to get in a lot of trouble. And her response is, I'm not lying, I've been to the police station, they've told me that they won't do anything about it, and that I've just got to deal with it. I'm sorry, but that just wouldn't happen. It just wouldn't happen. I was abused as a child from being the age of 9, probably late on being 8, almost 9. And I didn't go to the police about mine until I was 20, 21, and it was remanded straight away. So it doesn't matter how long ago it happened, if you make that allegation and you believe that that allegation is true, they will do something about it. Because if they feel they've got enough evidence, then that's when it goes to Crown Court. Now, they did feel like I had enough evidence because of everything that I told them. The only reason mine didn't go as far as I wanted it to was a mix-up with medical evidence, which didn't matter because not long after, it was back inside because he'd done it to my sister, which then helped my case become more clear, because, you know, for 2 siblings from the same father to be abused within just a short space of time, they came to realise that why would she make that up and then it happened to this daughter? It just wouldn't happen. So anyway, my point is that I turned around and said to her, I'll quite happily go to the police station with you. I'll even ring them for you. I wasn't being nasty, I wasn't being horrible, I wasn't being untoward. I turned around and I said, if you don't think that I've helped you enough, I'll quite happily come to the police station. I don't want you to feel like you're alone, or, you know, if this has happened and you are being genuinely honest about it, then I will come to the police station. And she was saying like, oh, they won't do anything, I've done this. So I said, oh, how about I ring them and speak to them and see if they can do anything about it. Her response to that was, why are you always getting involved in my business? Why don't you just keep your nose out? And I sit there and I think, hold on, I've not done anything wrong. You've just come to me and told me that I don't help. And then when I am trying to help, you're telling me to go away. Which is it you want? It's just so mind-boggling and upsetting and angering, and then she just uses the grandkids against me. So I haven't seen them for months. But I refuse to back down to her anymore. I refuse to let her bring me down anymore, make me feel like I am worthless, like I'm nothing, like I'm nobody, like I mean nothing. Because I don't need her in my life, and I don't want her in my life anymore. And as horrible as this video is probably going to come across to some people, until you've been in my shoes, until you feel the pain that I feel every single day, the anger that she has made me feel every single day, nobody can judge me. Nobody. I am the best grandparent to them kids. Well, grandma, I'm not saying I'm the best, because Aiden's mum is, you know, a good grandma. I'm not saying she's not. Andy's sister is a good auntie, and, you know, the rest of his family. I've never really had a problem with any of his family, to be fair. They always come across really genuine, and I think Chelsea kind of mind warped him into believing that she's this, that and the other, and I'm this, that and the other, and without even giving me a chance or asking me. And, you know, I've actually gone to his sister and said, look, I really think that you should do this, blah blah blah, you know, and just keep an eye on the kids as well. Because I unfortunately had to report Chelsea to the social services, which I'm not ashamed to admit, because I had concerns that every time he came to me, he had bruises, in places that you wouldn't expect a child to get it unless it had been hurt. And I'm just not the only one that had made complaints. You know, there was other people that had seen these bruises and marks, and then it concerned me even more when I went round on one occasion and she'd said that a next door neighbour had made a complaint because he'd heard her screaming at the kids and stuff like that, and the police came round, and the next time I went, the living room was in the bedroom and the bedroom was in the living room, and I was like, hold on, have you changed your rooms around just so people don't hear you screaming at your kids? And it's like, I just don't know. I don't know how anyone just can't dedicate their life to the kids. You know, they're only this little for so long, and then they grow up and that's it. You can't hold them and cuddle them and see them that tiny anymore, and all the memories that you could have got are gone because you spent more time screaming and shouting, and then that's all they remember. And I mean, there's been times, like even when Kaya was a baby, we thought that he was not thriving enough, he wasn't exploring enough, he wasn't learning enough, he didn't know how to sit up, when you were feeding him it was like he'd never been fed. And yeah, there's just been so much that has just arisen. And you know, when we say in the vlogs, just I'm so down, and you know, I've not felt like vlogging, the majority of the time it has been down to like missing my grandkids and just being made to feel like shit basically. But I just thought that this would be something that really I just felt like I needed to talk about and tell you guys, because most of the time we just don't have anyone to talk to, do we? Even though like I've got Dave and stuff like that, you don't really know how to open up to him, because life is just always so go, go, go all the time, and you really just don't have time to like sit down and think for 5 minutes. And then when I am on my own, I'm thinking about stuff that gets me down, and then that puts me in a bad mood, and then I'll be taking it out on Dave and he'll be like, what's up with you? And it'd be like, oh. But you know, it's not like that all the time, but I'm just giving you like an example of how things do escalate when you're thinking about stuff that really irritates you. But I just wanted to not come on here and make you all go and head over and hate Chelsea because, you know, she's done this and she's done that, and you know, that's not what this video is about. This is about me expressing the amount of hurt that a parent can feel and never understand. Like, I've never had a mum, I've never had a dad, and I sit there and I think, if you're lucky enough to have a mum that cares and wants to help, why would you want to throw that away? Why would you want to constantly make that person feel hurt and upset all the time? I really just don't get it. But anyway, so that is the reason why you probably won't see Kaya and Arabella in the vlogs for a while. But I've decided that I'm gonna go and get a solicitor. This time, I'm not gonna mess around. I'm gonna get a solicitor and I'm gonna fight through court for him. Not to take him off her, obviously, but I'm gonna fight in court to get my rights, because as a grandparent, we are entitled to our rights through the court of law. And this time, there won't be any forgiving. There won't be any forgiving. Chelsea is obviously going to be a part of my life forever, and I'm usually one of them people where I will forgive and forget and just move on, because I feel like life is too short to be angered and angry and arguing, especially with your own kids. But she's pushed me to a point of where I felt like I was not worthy of being here anymore. But I just feel like, you know, I've tried and tried and tried with Chelsea, but unfortunately there is only so much you can do before you have to just stop trying, because you end up trying that much that you forget about yourself, and you just end up that worn out and drained and tired that you physically feel poorly. And that's exactly how I was getting. And it just got to a point where it was like, do we carry on, or do we just think that's enough? Enough is enough, you know. And that's just how it's become. Unfortunately, that is just how it's become. And I just want to live a happy life. Hopefully at some point I'll get to make all of lost time up to my grandchildren, which hopefully won't be too long, but I don't care how much it costs, I don't care how long it takes. I know that I will be fighting for them. That is all that matters. So, but yeah, anyway, I do apologise if this comes across to anybody like I've personally got a vendetta against my own daughter. That is definitely not the case. But I just felt like this is something that I'm ready to share with everybody. You know, we've been doing YouTube now for quite a while, and we don't do this for views. We don't do this to make money. You know, we do this now because we feel like you guys are part of our family. We do it because most of the time, like, there's been times when I've wanted to give up YouTube and just walk away and not do it anymore. But there's always that bit of guilt at the back of your head. Is like, but these people look forward to coming and watching you. I don't care if there was 10 people coming to watch us. I don't care if there was 15 people watching us. You know, it really just doesn't matter to us. The point of all this is that we can look back at how big the kids were. We do it now, like we were looking back at an old Christmas vlog, and we were seeing like how big Mason was, and he was so tiny. And I look at him now and I think, how have you gone from being this big to like towering over me in such, although it seems like a long time, it's not really. It's such a short space, and it's crazy. And it's them little things that you sit there and you think, you know what, I'm so glad I did that, because if I would have given up, or we wouldn't have been doing this, we wouldn't have been able to look back at that. We would have had pictures and stuff like that, but we wouldn't have had them videos of him opening Christmas presents and, you know, laughing and joking and seeing them smile and, you know, seeing what they've got for the birthdays and all the things that, you know, seriously, I just sit here and I just want to tell everyone, do you know what, I don't care what you're doing, just get a camera, even if you're not putting it on YouTube, and video every single day of your life, because then you can look back at it all and you're not going to miss a single moment. Because I think it should be law now that when you give birth to a child, they give you a camera as well, so you can video every memory and moment of your child's life, because there's just nothing better. Like, I always sit in, I feel a bit guilty because we got, you know, the birth of Aurora, but we've not got the birth of the other kids. But I suppose you can't live in the past. You've got to just live in the moment, and, you know, the moments that you did get. So, you know, it's just nice to be able to look back on what we've already captured. And yeah, that is one of the good things about these videos. But I don't ever want us to come across like we've got the perfect life and we've got loads of money, because, you know, we're just a family struggling to get by like every other family. And, you know, we want the nice holidays. And, you know, I sit here and people say, oh, do you know what, nice car? And I sit there and I think, if my car gets me where I want to go, it gets me to take my kids out and stuff like that, it could be a shed on wheels, because it wouldn't matter. The only thing that matters to me is when them kids get out of the car, I see them smile. Because at the end of the day, the car just gets parked up and you don't even look at it then for the rest of the day. You basically use your car just to get where you want to go and then abandon it until you need it again. So, you know, it's not an important accessory, as I would say. It's just a luxury, you know, of having the privilege to be able to get up, get in a car and go to wherever you want to go without the big expense of getting a train, or, you know, obviously if you're going abroad you've got to get a plane, and it looks like we definitely won't be going abroad for a while unless we save up a lot, because the prices are meant to be shooting up. But hopefully they won't go up that much, and we've still got the Florida holiday to look forward to. Obviously once we can book that for a proper time, because at the minute we just don't want to take any chances because of COVID still like being around and having to wear masks and stuff like that. So, but yeah, anyway, like I said, this video isn't to put anybody down, it is just to share with you guys how I've been feeling and stuff that's been getting to me, but stuff that I want to put behind me, carry on, move on and stuff. But yeah, I'll keep you guys updated with how it goes getting a solicitor and stuff like that. Hopefully it won't take too long and I'll be able to see him again. But whatever happens, I'll always have these videos to send me messages, and hopefully if I don't see him till when they're older, then they can watch all these videos back and realise that there wasn't a day that passed that I didn't think about him. But yeah, anyway, I love you guys. I'm going to leave you, and I hope you have an amazing day, evening, whatever time you're checking in to watch this video. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks again for checking in and watching. See you tomorrow.